Good evening from the Tibet Center at 273 Bowery on the corner of Houston Street and Bowery. We will begin with recitation of the prayer for the spreading of the teachings throughout the length and breadth of the West, which you'll find down underneath in the FAQ section, along with the other prayers that we say. So, by the force of the blessings of the non-fallacious three precious gems, and of the truth of our pure selfless wishes, may the precious Buddhist teachings flourish and spread to the expanse of all areas throughout the length and breadth of the West. For all the people living there, together with their near ones, who have engaged in the teachings and have faith and respect for them, may all conditions adverse to their practice of the pure Dharma be dispelled, and an excellent collection of favorable conditions increase like the waxing moon, and especially for those who work on methods to accomplish the flourishing and spreading of the victorious one's teachings, which are the source of benefit and happiness. May they never be oppressed by masses of interference and adverse conditions, and may this spontaneously happen just as we had hoped and wished. Now the Heart Sutra. Thus have I heard once. The Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of the Vulture Peak Mountain, together with a big gathering of great monks and great bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One entered the Samadhi, which examines the Dharmas, called profound illumination. At the same time, noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, looking at the profound practice of transcendent knowledge, saw the five skandhas and their natural emptiness. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to Avalokiteshvara, how should those noble ones learn who wish to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge? And Avalokiteshvara answered, Venerable Shariputra, whoever wishes to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge should look at it like this, seeing the five skandhas in their natural emptiness. Form is empty, emptiness itself is form. Emptiness is not separate from form, form is not separate from emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discriminating awareness, compositional factors in consciousness are empty. Thus, all the dharmas are empty and have no characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing. They are not impure or pure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, since there is emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discriminating awareness, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no objects of mind, no quality of sight, no quality of hearing, no quality of smelling, no quality of tasting, no quality of sensing, no quality of thought, no quality of mind consciousness. There are no nidanas from ignorance to old age and death, nor their wearing out. There is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no ending of suffering, and no path, no wisdom, no attainment, no non-attainment. Therefore, since there is no attainment, the bodhisattvas abide by means of transcendent knowledge. And since there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear. They transcend falsity and pass beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas who dwell in the past, present, and future, by means of transcendent knowledge, fully and clearly awaken to unsurpassed, true, complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of transcendent knowledge, the mantra of deep insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequaled mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering, should be known as truth, for there is no deception. In transcendent knowledge, the mantra is proclaimed, Tadyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhiswaha. O Shariputra, this is how a Bodhisattva Mahasattva should learn profound transcendent knowledge. Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi and praised the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, saying, Good, good, O son of noble family, profound transcendent knowledge should be known and practiced just as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, Shariputra and Avalokiteshvara, that whole gathering in the world with its gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, their hearts full of joy, praised the words of the Blessed One. Now we generate bodhicitta. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, so may I too remain until to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Okay, so let us recite, as we did the last time, Om Mani Padme Hum. We'll do 3 rosaries of Om Mani Padme Hum. And you can dedicate the merit from this to His Holiness the Dalai Lama's recovery from his knee surgery, and also the recovery of all sentient beings from their ailments. So, Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani So, reciting Om Mani Padme Hum, as we were discussing before, simply to recite is good. If you can think about the quality of compassion which Om Mani Padme Hum is meant to be the mantra of, that's wonderful. And if you can think of the syllables, Om, which represents the body, speech, and mind, both our impure body, speech, and mind, and the fully enlightened body, speech, and mind of the Buddha. And then Mani, which represents the method aspect of our practice, and Padme, which represents the wisdom aspect of the practice. And when we bring these two aspects together, the method and the wisdom, that's represented by Hum. Hum is the union of wisdom and method. And by bringing these together, we purify the body, speech, and mind in its impure state to the pure state of a Buddha. So the repetition of the recitation of Om Mani Padme Hum contains within it the whole Buddhist practice, all aspects of the Buddhist practice. And if we can think about the different aspects as we are reciting this, all of that helps have this mantra actually affect us in the way that it's meant to. The sound itself will do something, but the more we think about it, the more we think about compassion, the more we think about these different aspects of the actual syllables, the more effect the recitation has. And then, as I said before, if we by having thought about these things and recited the mantra, we have accumulated a certain amount of virtue, a certain amount of good. And if we dedicate that good to others, we dedicate to His Holiness's healing from his operation, we dedicate it to all people who are healing from different ailments, we dedicate it to all sentient beings. All of that dedication, as we've learned over the years, increases the virtuous quality of whatever it is that we accumulated from the recitation of the mantra. So, what is it? Like when you put your money in the bank and you're getting a very, very high, it's not just, what does one get in the bank, 5% or something like that? This is like getting a 5,000% interest rate, or a 5,000,000% interest rate, or if we are trying to develop our compassion by thinking about one person's ailment, if we then develop the wish to remove the suffering of the infinite sentient beings of the world, we are deriving infinite virtuous qualities, infinite virtue or merit. So it's exponential. Tax-free, yes. And you can keep on doing this, and it's a bit of a pyramid thing, but it can keep on going. So that's the recitation of Om Mani Padme Hum. And Om Mani Padme Hum is really, it's really good because we can remember it, and it helps to have a mala, because that keeps you going. I find that if I have a mala in my hand, I find myself reciting a mantra. If I put the mala down, I stop. So the mala helps. And it really makes no difference what the mala is made of. It just is a thing that helps us. It is said that if you count, and if you do, let's say, 10 rosaries, that would be 1,000 Om Mani Padme Hums each day. And if you count them, then in the evening when you are going over your day, you can rejoice in the fact that you have done this. So in addition to the sort of accrued interest on your having devoted this to all sentient beings, you get a double whammy. It's double your money at the end of the day, because you can rejoice in what you've done. After you've completed your recitation, then in the evening when you actually develop joy in the virtuous action that you've engaged in, then you can again dedicate that merit, and it goes on and on and on. It's a very good deal. Towards the end of Trungpa Rinpoche's life, I kept hearing him say to people, recite Om Mani Padme Hum, recite Om Mani Padme Hum. He would just say, when you have time, when you're sitting, just recite Om Mani Padme Hum. That was the advice that he was giving people. So, recite Om Mani Padme Hum. This is a special conduit right into Michael's ear. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. So, we have been discussing Beyond Religion, Ethics for a Whole World by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And we have reached page 84, Global Responsibility. So we had just ended with the idea that the problems of the world, His Holiness introduces the fact, or presents the fact, that he listens to the radio each day, to the BBC World Service, and throughout the world there are problems and wars and natural disasters and unnatural, that is to say, man-made problems. And he comments on the fact that these man-made problems, of which there are so many, are made because of the fact that people are acting in selfish, non-virtuous, unethical ways. And so he's introducing the idea that given the fact that these problems are man-made, it should be possible through our efforts to change the situation. If we can instigate the causes for the negative results, we should be able to apply countermeasures and bring about positive results. Now, I don't know, as we look at the state of the world today, I think that we have to acknowledge that there are many situations where it's sort of gotten beyond our ability to do too much about it. What are your thoughts about how much we can do in respect to the problems we're facing?
Thanks. I think about that a lot because I spend far too much time on social media. That old chestnut, act locally, think globally. Interdependence, everything ripples out from you like a...
So you're saying that, all right, so I'm going to try to turn the microphone. You are saying that if we exert effort, even at the local level, we should be able to bring about some kind of change.
Absolutely. Yeah. Whether it's volunteering at your local food co-op or just opening the door for people who need it. I mean, it can help create a civil society.
I think I can add to that is that what we're experiencing right now is the effect of actions that happened in the past. So that action that Jen is suggesting, we won't necessarily see those results right away, but then it's going to cause our experiences or humanity's experiences further down the line.
But even without thinking about what the past has caused what's happening now, if you even look at the materialist view and look at what's going on, there's all kinds of wars and all kinds of stuff going on. And most of us on the individual level may not be able to cause much, but we can at least go out on the street and protest, which is a lot of what young people are doing at the DNC, like for example. You know, when they do that, they're actually putting themselves in harm's way because they're getting beat up by the police and getting arrested. But they still do that because they're young people and this is their world, this is their life. It's affecting them. They have to do something. So they go out on the street and protest.
So my question was, are we at this point in terms of our existence on planet Earth, are we able to turn around the problems, the man-made problems that we've created?
Well, it doesn't seem that way. Like right now, it seems like it's too much. There's too many wars going on. But what are you going to do? You're going to sit in front of the TV, or you're going to go on the street and at least let the politicians that we elected, or in some places they are not elected, but at the same time, you can still go out on the street and start telling them this is not okay. Because it's not just their world, it's also our world.
I mean, there's other forms of collective action than direct protest as well, in terms of building different kinds of alliances and coalitions to try to affect change. So, I mean, at least within raising children, it was very important for me to feel that the kids were empowered, that things can change, that it does take action and effort internally and with other people. And plenty of examples to share with them on that. But I think that helps, you know, it helps children, helps all people feel not despondent. And as a Buddhist, it helps to understand what Mark was referring to, creating the causes for the conditions that you want. So, I mean, I think the older I get, the more I understand even the nature of living within samsara, but also kind of the importance of kind of having a calm understanding of that to be able to help influence other people around me.
To do what?
To influence other people around me.
Yeah, it's like you could either sit there and go into a doom spiral, which is pretty useless, really, and it's very easy to do it these days, or what's been said. Change your mind, tame your mind. I love chestnuts. old sayings, but it really helps me because it really is, you know, some political parties and their influencers really like you getting really hopeless, so you don't vote, so you don't act, so you don't do acts of civil disobedience, which have done tremendous actions in this world. And it's possible to see that it was within our lifetimes that changed things, so I think it's still possible. So act locally, think locally.
So terms of the state of the planet, in terms of, in terms of the state of the planet, one of the things we've heard His Holiness say recently is that he has heard from certain scientists that within 70 years, the temperature is going to go so high that humans won't be able to survive. It'll be difficult. This is what these scientists have said. And therefore, since we don't have terribly much time, let's be nice to each other. Let's at least end our life on the planet being nice to each other. Sorry?
Your Humvee. Take a nice drive out the country in your Humvee.
Darren is recommending that we take a nice drive in the country in our Humvees.
Electric.
I bet they have them.
I mean, that's kind of the nature of change too, is that as the ecosystems change or as people change, the circumstances in which you can draw conclusions or see what's going to happen in the future also change because of that interdependence. So, it's hard to predict other than knowing that it needs to focus our attention to try to overcome the forces that want us to be despondent and not contribute to things like that.
So, in a sense, this book is really focused on assuming social responsibility within our society. And I think that we can also think of what's being discussed here from the point of view of our spiritual practice as Buddhists or as whatever, and the idea of devoting ourselves to our own inner practice, bodhicitta, the whole idea that as a result of having cultivated profound compassion, a deep wish to remove the suffering of others, if we come to the conclusion that the situation within which we all live is terrible, it has this nature of suffering, and I'm really ill-equipped to do much about it, and then I determine to seek an enlightened state where I can really effectively help others, and I devote myself to that attainment for the sake of others, that's not a cop-out, that's real work. And I just want to sort of introduce that as one way of really accepting the challenge that His Holiness is putting forth here. Because, as I say, in a sense, we have really screwed up the planet to such an extent that I don't know how much we are equipped to rectify the situation. I don't know how much our need for air conditioning and the buildings that are constructed in order to keep us all cool, and our need for electricity, our need for gasoline, our need for all the things that keep our society, our culture, our way of living going, we know very well are being exhausted, and the materials that are necessary are being exhausted, And so I'm not sure. I don't know how. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm not sort of technically very able. I don't know whether we have the ability to actually, when His Holiness says, if human action can create these problems in the first place, then surely we humans must have the capacity as well as the responsibility to find their solutions. And then he ends, the only way we can put them right is by changing our outlook and our ways and by taking action. So I think that we have to really think about how we take action. And what I'm suggesting is that the taking action is not the most effective way of taking action is not necessarily to work at rectifying the actual problems, the political problems that exist, or the I don't know. Sorry. Outer things, but that we should really consider the inner work or we should see true, well-intentioned, motivated inner work to be ultimately the most effective way that we can confront and deal with the problems that that humanity has created.
So are you thinking to reverse it or to create something new? What would be, how do you see it? Do we need something new or we need to reverse the existing one?
So what I'm saying is I'm not sure that one can reverse the problem that we have on Earth.
New system.
What we have to do is work on ourselves. And what that will bring about, I don't know. I mean, once we've ruined this planet, it's not that we, wherever it is that we merit to be reborn is not going to be planet Earth, because I don't think that planet Earth is going to have the ability, if we are reborn as human beings, which is unlikely. So I'm not sure that your two options were reverse or
Recreate.
or create anew.
Recreate.
Okay. But not recreate. I would not accept.
Like for example, people don't use electric, but they use solar, right?
Mhm,
That's
yeah.
a recreation. You recreate a system that makes you comfortable, but it's not harming. Reversing is more like I'm avoiding that. So there are two options, maybe a little bit of everything.
So yes, now recreating means that you're creating something that already existed, right?
Like for example, when they have the solar system,
Yeah.
it's a recreation
Of.
of the system because it needs to be cool. You need to cool the body somehow externally so you don't die from overheat or from being too dry. It's for your health to survive. So you use solar system to feed that electricity or whatever, right? So that's
Yes, finding new ways of. But I don't know. As I look around, I feel that we are trying to suck out more from our environment, from our system, than we have, and it's going to get exhausted soon. It seems that way.
But we also have very good medical science provide for us very good medical system. For example, HIVs no longer exist. Science, there are good things too.
Oh, there are lots of. It's all good.
Yeah.
A lot of it is good, but we're sucking our natural resources dry, and That's the part that I'm not sure that we have the capacity to reverse. I don't know. You in the back.
Being that,
With
yeah, I just spouted a bunch of
Sean's not in now,
platitudes.
is
And I just spouted a bunch of platitudes, and I'm older, and I've been protesting and until recently, going to protest and doing random volunteer work since my teens, and I'm far past that. And so what I was initially saying about acting locally, thinking globally, all those things that I was raised with, or raised myself with, it certainly applies, but I do get what you're saying very much, and in my darkest thoughts and what you were implying, but what is really readily apparent, if you really do follow climate change and what scientists really are saying about it, and it's so dire. I'm waiting for, this is going to sound gruesome, for a climate scientist to set himself on fire to bring attention to the issue, because they're all on super red high alert. And when you look at the data centers that are now taking more water and energy than like some states for AI and things like that, and when I started seeing those topics, I started going, wow, this is totally frightening, because no matter what, they're chasing after the profit, the next big thing, AI, these big companies, they think quarterly, and all it is about money and the stock prices. So yes, I could very much go with the fact that we are past the tipping point, and that the only thing we really can change is our mind how to do it. But I get very depressed thinking that way, and so.
Well, you can be depressed thinking that way, but you can also think, wow, I actually have the only power that actually exists, and that is to work on myself.
Which is why I'm here, because it's absolutely true, so there you have it.
And I don't, who was it who said here, and that effort that you said, the effort that we contribute, the effort that we make is contributing in a positive way, is bringing about a change in the situation. That the Sufi saying, the unwise man tries to change others, the medium wise man tries to change his environment, the wise man tries to change himself. The changing of ourselves is the greatest contribution that we can make to the universe, and is the only contribution we can make to the universe, and is a contribution to the universe.
Good one, I never thought of it that.
an eternal contribution, self-eternal.
And they say be the light, right?
But can't you do both? I mean, you can change yourself and at the same time affect what's going on also.
You must. We can't
But
just
you have
sit
to- you
hiding.
have to deal with what's happening, and especially the young generation coming up is very savvy about it, because they see that it's the future that we basically, our generation has basically destroyed, are in the process of destroying, and still doing it for the sake of profits. We're still sucking out whatever resources that we can to the point of no return, and it's the kids who are growing up, the teenagers who are actually on the street protesting in Europe a lot, in UK, and even in US at the DNC, we just saw it, and even though mainstream media is not showing much, there are other alternative medias where you can actually get the news of what's happening. The kids are not standing still, they are protesting because their future is at stake. And even though I don't have children, I have nephews and nieces, so you have to deal with both the outside and the inside.
So, leaving protest aside, and I'm not avoiding it, but in terms of the actual ways in which we can, let's say, benefit the planet, benefit our society, benefit our world. Yes, in addition to working on ourselves in the ways that we are familiar with from a Buddhist point of view, the contribution that we make in what would you call it, tangible ways. I mean, the work of a nurse in a hospital, the help that anyone can, just, acts of generosity, any technological contribution that we can make as scientists, anything we do, in addition to our own inner work, we must engage in. Yes. And if we have the wisdom and if we have the skill to engage in demonstrations, we should do so as effectively as we can. We can take someone like Mahatma Gandhi as a Martin Luther King, these very, very skillful activists, peace activists who brought change to the world. That's a very difficult thing to do well, but yes, definitely.
It's so easy to neglect
The inner.
to be so focused on all the problems outside and just rashly acting.
Or to be overwhelmed.
So I think that's why this message is so important, because it should be the first step. And also, if this planet had a beginning, naturally it should have an end. And that, if that's unsatisfactory to us, we should recognize that's samsara. These teachings are helping us to escape that. But also, I think feeling that that natural course of the life of this planet is natural can give us a little peace of mind.
And that our stream of consciousness will find its place within existence, depending on what we merit. So, where are we? In this age of globalization, the time has come for us to acknowledge that our lives are deeply interconnected and to recognize that our behavior has a global dimension. When we do so, we will see that our own interests are best served by what is in the best interest of the wider human community. By contrast, if we concentrate exclusively on our own inner development and neglect the wider problems of the world, or if, having recognized these, we are apathetic about trying to solve them, then we have overlooked something fundamental. Apathy, in my view, is itself a form of selfishness. For our approach to ethics to be truly meaningful, we must, of course, care about the world. This is what I mean by the principle of global responsibility, which is a key part of my approach to secular ethics. So if our inner development is selfish, and if it prevents us, if we use it as an excuse for not engaging in actually in a tangible way contributing, that would be apathy, and that's something that would be wrong. As His Holiness says, that would be selfish, and I think that we should keep our eye on that. That's a gauge that we have to be mindful of. We must care about the world. We must care about others. The real line, the real the real sort of mark of spiritual practice is that we are doing something for the benefit of others. I think that that's a fair mark to hold as we grapple with this. And in our attempt to work on ourselves, maintaining the priority of having our self-work be for the sake of others. If we are engaged in outer work, having that outer work be for the benefit of others, that's when His Holiness first introduced the idea of bless you, engaging. He talked about cultivating compassion, and then cultivating the ability, the discernment by which we can best establish how to act upon that compassion, how to actually benefit. And so the discernment, which we could think of as a certain wisdom, is the I think that we should think of these two principles here, and working on ourselves is working on the development of compassion, and working on the development of the discernment would be the way to best act in the face of the existential situations that we're discussing.
So the discernment of balancing our understanding of how to acknowledge what's around us while we continue to work on compassion for others.
The discernment of figuring out how best to help.
Right, which is complicated.
Which is complicated, but if motivated by compassion, as His Holiness says, we don't have to worry too much. If our motivation is pure, and if we are making effort to discern, that's as good as we can do. And that's good.
I agree.
Is discernment here equivalent to wisdom?
Well, it depends whether you're talking about wisdom being the realization of emptiness, or the cultivation of a realization of emptiness, or if you're talking about it being a figuring out how best to apply ourselves effectively. Here we're talking about the latter.
It's a derivative of the former. The right, so it's the way things are. Discernment is the way to figure out the best thing to do. So discernment is like a derivative, not a derivative of ignorance. And we accumulated that, so
So those two are connected as twins.
I think, I'm not sure.
You're
I don't
talking
know.
about discriminative wisdom.
What do you mean by discriminative wisdom?
Discernment is part of discrimination. To discriminate what is the right thing to do, what is not the right thing to do.
Yes, but Mark is asking
About the ultimate
Question.
Well, no, I mean,
Question.
as Buddhists, we try to learn about emptiness, but then I guess what I'm asking is to what extent that cultivation also helps us in the conventional, with respect to the conventional, which is what we're talking about.
So the one thing I learned in the local language of Karnataka, Kannada, is Gotilla, which means I don't know.
Yeah, you gotta shake your head up.
I don't know if that means I don't know. It could be yes too. I don't know what it means when they do this with their head labels.
Hmm?
Say no, you say yes. What? Can I get on the bus or not? Maybe you have to hold it.
It's something to contemplate. How
Yes.
the wisdom to discern, or that quality of discernment, to how it is related to the wisdom realizing emptiness. How discernment depends on an understanding of interdependence. You think about it,
Very good.
and then you tell us when you come back from India.
You could ask Sircon Rinpoche. Ask Sircon. What does the word want? Earn your tuition.
So, the challenge of technological progress. So, but before we get here, His Holiness, I think, gives us all a challenge, saying we must not be apathetic. We must not permit apathy. Apathy is selfishness, and I think that's a real. I think that's very important. I'll throw that out there for discussion.
He's not as active in world affairs.
Yeah, when we study Buddhism, and when we study the Lamrim, it seems as if the most effective thing that we can do is to devote ourselves ultimately to the development of calm abiding, and then the realization of emptiness, and the application of calm abiding to our realization, our understanding of emptiness, so that it gets to be a deeper and deeper realization. That, motivated by the compassion that we are working at developing, seems to be the package that we are working at. And His Holiness is saying, whoa, 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 whoa. Don't be apathetic. Don't consider that it's okay to just devote yourself to yourself. You must work towards being effective within our world. If we concentrate exclusively on our inner development and neglect the wider problems of the world, or if, having recognized these, we are apathetic about trying to solve them, then we have overlooked something fundamental. Apathy, in my view, is itself a form of selfishness. And I'm rereading that really because I think that it is easy to feel justified in contemplating our navels, in devoting ourselves to our own inner development, losing sight of the point of that inner development. We have to really maintain that. For someone to be ready to go up to the top of the mountain and devote himself or herself to true experiential meditation, that person has to have such profound compassion, such a profound feeling of responsibility towards society, that he or she recognizes that the most beneficial thing that he or she can do is actually to devote himself or herself to that meditation. That's way beyond our capacity. That's something that I think it would be wrong for us to think that we are ready for. And I think that that's really what His Holiness is saying. We have to help others. We have to work towards helping others. We can work on ourselves and in the process work towards being of benefit to others. We have to help our society. That's the responsibility that he is sort of challenging us to assume. Anything to, please, anything you have to say?
You have to do both at the same time.
Of course.
His Holiness had to do that. He was the king the ruler of the country, and still a student coming up. How did he do it? I don't know. 16 years old, he was doing Mao. Amazing. But he set an example.
The effort that His Holiness puts into going around the world and teaching and pushing and helping us along, that's the effort that we have to make to benefit our society. Yes, the lady in the hat in the back. Yes, yes.
You know, speaking of,
You know he will.
there was something on His Holiness in social media somewhere where he was saying generating bodhicitta, that beautiful last line from Shantideva, 10th chapter, as long as space endures.
As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world.
Right, but this time I heard it, and it was with his older voice. So it wasn't from years ago, it was his older voice, and he said, as long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to fight the miseries of the world. And that just pressed every button I had. I thought that was incredibly beautiful, because it really talks about the spiritual warrior, the inner warrior self, and I found it incredibly inspiring. Just that change of the word, because we say it every week, 3 times, much less every day. And until then, may I too remain to fight the miseries of the world. That's fierce. They're fierce. They work so, His Holiness works so hard. They all do. You all do. Just 24/7. Yay.
Yeah. Sound like a PR person.
Pardon me?
He was PR person.
We paid her to say this.
I think it's a paid announcement.
But it was just the other day. I found that very inspirational.
So what's the difference between inspirational and inspiring?
Between what?
Inspirational and inspiring.
Oh, that's
What's the
fine.
difference between inspirational and inspiring, Michael?
One is active.
Inspiring is the act of doing something based on something inspirational.
Say that
So-
again, Michael.
Is that okay?
Say it again.
Say it again. Say it again, please.
Say it again. Perspiring is what? No, what is it?
One is passive and one is active.
Yeah, I think one is passive, motivating, and one is active.
Inspiring, to inspire is to, but when you say that is inspiring,
To breathe in.
that's inspirational.
Taking it
Sorry?
in, taking it in.
In both cases.
When you inspire, you're
Inspires
reflecting
has
out.
to do with the breath, the rhythm.
There is reflecting out, and there is taking it in.
But if you're inspired to do something.
That's really inspiring.
Yeah.
That's really inspirational. Yeah?
Big difference.
And then you inspire others. And then you inspire others.
What? Which one?
First,
Which?
you being inspired, you take the inspiration in,
Yeah.
and then you inspire others.
Yeah. That's inspirational or that's inspiring?
You're affecting, you're projecting it to others, so
I'm inspirationing?
that's right.
Okay.
That's what he wants us to do,
To inspiration.
yeah.
Okay.
So we give it back what we receive, basically. We
So-
receive the dharma and we give it back. Basically, that's what we're supposed to do.
Okay.
I think that that evaluation for ourselves,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
and that's it.
Yes.
They're selfish because they're on the mountain?
No, we are not judging others. We can't judge others. We can only judge ourselves to determine whether we are being apathetic or not.
Whether we're using it as escape or.
And that's true. I mean, all of this has to do with the work we're doing on ourselves. It's totally individual. So, any questions from the outside world?
No. Any questions from the mountain? No names. No names or questions?
Okay.
We're apathetic then.
Always
Another guy.
So we shall read the Sutra of the Recollection of the Noble Three Jewels. I prostrate to the Omniscient One. Thus the Bhagavad Tathagata Arhat Samyak Sambuddha, the learned and virtuous one, the Sugata, the knower of the world, the charioteer and tamer of beings, the unsurpassable one, the teacher of devas and humans is the Buddha Bhagavat. The Tathagata is in accord with all merit. He does not waste the roots of virtue. He is completely ornamented with all patience. He is the basis of the treasures of merit. He is adorned with the minor marks. He blossoms with the flowers of the major marks. His activity is timely and appropriate. Seeing him, he is without disharmony. He brings true joy to those who long with faith. His knowledge cannot be overpowered. His strength cannot be challenged. He is the teacher of all sentient beings. He is the father of bodhisattvas. He is the king of noble ones. He is the guide of those who journey to the city of nirvana. He possesses immeasurable wisdom. He possesses inconceivable confidence. His speech is completely pure. His melody is pleasing. One never has enough of seeing him. His form is incomparable. He is not stained by the realm of desire. He is not stained by the realm of form. He is not affected by the formless realm. He is completely liberated from suffering. He is completely and utterly liberated from the skandhas. He is not possessed with dhatanas. His ayatanas are controlled. He has completely cut the knots. He is completely liberated from extreme torment. He is liberated from craving. He has crossed over the river. He is perfected in all the wisdoms. He abides in the wisdom of the Buddha Bhagavats who arise in the past, present, and future. He does not abide in nirvana. He abides in the ultimate perfection. He dwells on the bhumi where he sees all sentient beings. All these are the perfect virtues of the greatness of the Buddha Bhagavat. The holy Dharma is good at the beginning, good in the middle, and good at the end. Its meaning is excellent. Its words are excellent. It is uncorrupted. It is completely perfect and completely pure. It completely purifies. The Bhagavat teaches the Dharma well. It brings complete vision. It is free from sickness. It is always timely. It directs one further. Seeing it fulfills one's purpose. It brings discriminating insight for the wise. The Dharma, which is taught by the Bhagavad, is revealed properly in the Vinaya. It is renunciation. It causes one to arrive at perfect enlightenment. It is without contradiction. It is pithy. It is trustworthy and puts an end to the journey. As for the Sangha of the great Yana, they enter completely, they enter insightfully, they enter straightforwardly, they enter harmoniously. They are worthy of veneration with joined palms. They are worthy of receiving prostration. They are a field of glorious merit. They are completely capable of receiving all gifts. They are an object of generosity. They are a great object of complete generosity. The protector who possesses great kindness, the omniscient teacher, the basis of oceans of merit and virtue, I prostrate to the Tathagata. Pure, the cause of freedom from passion, virtuous, liberating from the lower realms. This alone is the supreme ultimate truth. I prostrate to the Dharma, which is peace. Having been liberated, they show the path to liberation. They are fully dedicated to the disciplines. They are a holy field of merit and possess virtue. I prostrate to the Sangha. I prostrate to the Buddha, the leader. I prostrate to the Dharma, the protector. I prostrate to the Sangha, the community. I prostrate respectfully and always to these three. The Buddha's virtues are inconceivable. The Dharma's virtues are inconceivable. The Sangha's virtues are inconceivable. Having faith in these inconceivables, therefore the fruitions are inconceivable. May they be born in a completely pure realm. Now let us recite a prayer for the swift return of Ratu Kyongla Rinpoche. Exalted wisdom of all victors gathered in a drop, sole refuge manifest in the form of the one wearing saffron robes, Guru Lobsang Tuwang Dorje-chan. Please bear witness here today that our prayers may be fulfilled. We beseech the great torch of doctrine, accomplishing from long ago the vast waves of aspirational prayers, Lord of speech of the Victor Lobsang's teachings, spreading them to the ends of the earth by means of explanation and practice. Though holding the commitment, I will invite all beings to be my guests in unsurpassed great awakening, yet you have withdrawn the activities of the form body that serves the welfare of others. Is that worthy of the supreme among beings, the Bodhisattvas? Though impossible for you till cyclic existence end to abandon your commitment to liberate all beings, we beseech the new son of Nirmanakaya to swiftly return from the realm of Dharmakaya, brought forth by bodhicitta drawn by 7 steeds. Having reached the far limits of scholarship, religious life, and goodness, please come swiftly as an unrivaled supreme emanation, full holder of the sage's teachings, and wish-fulfilling jewel, return as the glory of Losang Tempe. Magnificent truth of the 3 precious jewels, Mahakala, Karma Yama, and Srimati Devi, and the ocean of Dharma protectors, may you spontaneously fulfill our wish, the swift blossoming of the reincarnation's fresh moonlight face. Thank you. Tomorrow we will meet in New Jersey at 501 North Ridgewood Road, South Orange, New Jersey at 7 o'clock. Thank you.